Have you ever awoken in the wee hours of the morning feeling strangely awake? Many people who startled awake in the middle of the night may have asked themselves this question. This is not just a physical reaction like being woken at a particular hour, as it's possible God may be nudging you spiritually. From admonition to deliverance, God may seek to use these strange hours for intimacy with you. In this video, I will show you biblical reasons why you sometimes wake up so suddenly in the thick of the night. But before we delve into the video, please consider subscribing to our channel so you can stay informed about our future content. You will agree that sleep is a valuable experience that gives you a feeling of serenity and relaxation after a tough day. However, God sometimes breaks your sleep and wakes you up in the middle of the night so abruptly. This phenomenon might be disturbing, leaving you wondering why you were jolted from a deep slumber. The fascinating phenomenon of waking up at the same time every night has always piqued people's interest, and I'm sure it does yours too. But don't worry, you're not alone in your feelings. Our universe is ruled by two great forces, that of good and evil. Whether you recognize it or not, the spiritual realm rules over the physical. While we slept soundly, the world spun while spiritual forces rage around us. Darkness has always been linked with evil, and most depravity manifests itself at night. The cover of darkness gives a perfect opportunity for the devil to carry out his heinous plans unnoticed. And we know that we are of God, and the whole world lies in wickedness, says 1 John 5:19. The predominance of evil in the world demonstrates that evil powers are at work, especially at night. The Bible narrates the story of the wheat and tares in Matthew 13:25, describing how the adversary sows seeds of disaster while people slumber. This indicates that the devil is actively attempting to bring confusion and destruction into our lives, even when we are sleeping. When God wakes you up at night, He wants you to pray and combat the wicked forces that may be arrayed against you. He warns you about what is happening in the spiritual world, which we cannot see with our physical senses. Though it may seem surprising and disruptive, it serves a purpose. God knows the enemy's strategies, just as the tale of the wheat and tares reveal. He sees your weaknesses and knows when you are in danger, pushing you to wake up and participate in spiritual combat through prayer. The devil is fully aware that you are most vulnerable at night. You cannot actively pray or study the scriptures while sleeping, and your awareness of your surroundings is reduced. The devil skillfully executes his schemes behind the shroud of darkness, taking advantage of your sleep-induced state. He understands that while the rest of the world is sleeping is when he can work without hindrance. Meanwhile, God uses the cover of darkness to wake us up and pray so that we might catch the thief in the act of stealing. Surprisingly, the enemy often induces us with feelings of tiredness, just as God prompts us to pray. Have you ever noticed how much more sleepy you feel when it's time to get up and pray versus checking your phone or responding to a text? The devil's hold is felt when he murmurs promises of relaxation to discourage you from praying. He attempts to persuade you that prayer won't make much difference, instead advising you to prioritize sleep. When God awakens you as strange as by 3 a.m., it is a clear indication that He has seen the enemy's efforts against you and wants you to take spiritual control. Now, prayer becomes a potent remedy to oppose and demolish the devil's schemes. The devil knows the authority and force that prayers possess. By luring us with excessive tiredness, he hopes to keep us from engaging in any spiritual activity that would interfere with his intentions. However, if we fight the pull of sleep and respond to God's urging to pray, we can triumph over our enemy. The sluggishness you often feel is not by chance, but a planned approach used by the devil. He knows that your prayers have the ability to derail his evil schemes, so he tries all he can to make you feel too exhausted and drowsy to pray. It is critical to understand that when God wakes us up by this strange hour, He is inviting us to engage in our spiritual defense actively. The tiredness we experience should act as a reminder to us to put more effort into our prayer. The devil's determination rises when you begin to pray and raise your voice, realizing that his intentions have been revealed and his machinations have been thwarted. Many people face countless issues in their everyday lives, but they often fail to see that God may have already roused them to pray once or twice, or even disclosed their problems through dreams and visions. However, they may not take action owing to a lack of attention or understanding. For God speaketh once, yea twice, but man perceiveth it not in a dream, in a night vision, when profound sleep falls over humanity, in slumberings on the bed. Job 33:14-15 says. This scripture highlights that God regularly speaks with us, yet we frequently ignore Him. I pray for you today. May you not allow ignorance be the demise of your faith. Amen. When God wakes you up in the middle of the night, you must listen and act. In the Bible, the story of Peter's arrest serves as a significant example. Peter was imprisoned and sentenced to death the next day. However, an angel broke into the jail during the night and roused him up. Peter followed the angel's instructions, and his obedience resulted in his miraculous deliverance and salvation from imminent death. How many more times would God not interfere in the events of men who respond to his promptings at night? Similarly, consider the life of Samuel, a young lad awakened by God in the middle of the night while sleeping. "Speak," Samuel said, "for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. God opened up a world of great possibilities for Samuel at that time. He would perhaps not have risen to become the great man of God he intended to be if he had decided to stay lazy and in bed. Samuel realized that following the Lord is much more important than pursuing comfort and ease. As a result, when God prompts you to wake up at night and pray, you must trust him and accept his command. This doesn't mean you have to remain up all night praying every night, but it does imply that you should pray in the middle of the night if God encourages you to. I understand how tempting it is to turn over and go back to sleep, dismissing the interruption as a bit of annoyance. However, it is crucial to take these times seriously and acknowledge that God may be trying to show you something vital. You may be wondering why God prefers to send us these promptings at night rather than during the day. The truth is that God may speak to us at any hour of day or night. During the day, however, we often engage in many activities and diversions that might block God's message and impair our capacity to detect spiritual threats. Consequently, God shows up when the tempest is past, in the stillness of the morning, around 3 a.m. to ensure he has our full attention for even a little minute, enabling us to reconnect with him and his plan. In contrast, God may more effectively awaken your eyes to the reality of what is occurring in the spiritual world during these times when your physical senses are suppressed. Getting up around 3 a.m. or other odd hours in the morning could be God's way of getting your attention and placing you in a new direction. Many believe this often happens because our spiritual energies are at their most significant at this time, enabling men to experience heightened awareness and connection with the higher power. It is also believed that waking up at this period allows one to get insight into one's life by analyzing one's deepest thoughts and emotions. Even if it is just a few minutes of prayer in the middle of the night, it may significantly impact your life and the spiritual battles being conducted against you. You must remember that if you do not make time for God, you will lose out on the spiritual direction, protection, and blessings he wishes to give you. Your willingness to react to his call and pray at night indicates your trust and reliance on him. As a result, if you often wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or at any other hour for no apparent reason, mainly when others are sound asleep, these scriptural explanations may explain why God has decided to do so. Some people may get an unexpected wake-up call from God when their alarm clocks do not go off. It might be an inner voice or a physical shaking feeling that causes people to open their eyes and pay attention. God may be attempting to warn you of approaching peril in your life. He knows you're prone to making errors or taking chances without thinking about the repercussions, so he sends his wake-up call to safeguard you. You may also get heavenly guidance on what steps to take to avert future damage. Also, when God wakes you up, he is pushing you to go beyond your limitations and accept the challenge of rising above human weakness. God may be encouraging you to get up and use the time you have to create something remarkable for yourself, physically and spiritually. Refusing laziness may include getting out of bed and tackling a project you've been putting off, or it may entail spending some quality time in prayer or meditation. In any event, it's evident that waking up at such an odd hour without explanation from is a sign from above, reminding you that now is the time for action rather than inaction. As a result, if you find yourself fully awake at 3 or 4 a.m., it's time to pay attention. It may seem an undesirable disruption to your sleep, but God may communicate with you. When God wakes you up in the middle of the night, it means that something unexpected is about to happen. Don't worry if it seems surprising and disconcerting at first. Instead, spend some time for introspection and meditation. Ask yourself what ideas come to mind right now, and write them down as soon as you wake up so you can remember them later. This will help you in getting insight into any forthcoming challenges or possibilities. This is a moment when God is summoning your inner power and energy to help you rise above any darkness that has engulfed you. He wishes to lead you through this change with grace, kindness, and love. Finally, if you've ever awoken in the middle of the night, feeling as if someone is watching you, it might be a guardian angel sent by God to keep an eye on your soul. It might indicate that an angel is attempting to speak with you, An angel may wake you up to remind you of your life's mission or inspire you to persevere in challenging tasks. Alternatively, God may want you to pay attention to something significant in your life. So I encourage you today to always respond to His calling. Let me know if you have any thoughts, questions, or suggestions in the comments section. If this video interests you, give it a like and kindly subscribe to my channel. Keep staying rooted in faith.